It's alive. Oh, it's alive.
Adventures in time and space, told in future tense.
All radio is dead.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Look, there comes one of them now.
Good evening, I'm Kyle.
Brad.
And risen from the coffin, we are the Nosferadudes. Brad.
Kyle.
What are we covering for this, our season finale?
We are covering Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Dracula. Dracula.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm glad that, after we talked about t-shirts last time that you're wearing the t-shirt. I'm glad glad we're on the same page. Teamwork, Kyle. Teamwork.
I should have worn my trucker hat.
I
have a
Is
trucker
there a
hat.
Nosferatu? Is there?
I have a trucker hat that I got made. You want me to
Pretty
go
good.
get it? You want me
That's
to go
pretty
get
good.
it?
No, don't go get it. Just wear it next time.
Okay. At least one of us is wearing something.
Yep.
That's right, Brad. We are discussing the Francis Ford Coppola masterpiece. Bram Stoker's Dracula. 1990. We're going all the way back to 1992.
That's right.
Written by James V. Hart, based on the 1897 novel by Mr. Bram Stoker, the eponymous namesake of the Stoker Award for horror writing. And Brad, who's starring in this thing? Give us the rundown.
Oh, well, you got Mr. Gary Oldman.
That's right.
Anthony Hopkins.
Sir.
Hannibal Lecter. Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Put
Sorry.
some respect on his name.
Yeah, that was my fault. Can I go back?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir Anthony Hopkins. Carrie Elways.
That's right, Carrie Elways.
And then you have Keanu Reeves. And Winona Ryder.
And Winona Ryder. We've also got Richard Grant.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Grant, very well-known British actor. Sadie Frost. She's made a big name for herself since doing this film. And we've got some honorable mentions. Billy Campbell. Billy Campbell was one of those actors. He was sort of on the rise in the U.S., but it just didn't kind of happen. Heck, he was the Rocketeer, right?
Yeah. Yes, he was.
Yeah,
I love that movie. I saw that movie in the theater.
That's one of those movies that doesn't get the fucking respect.
No, it doesn't.
No.
That was a big movie at the time, wasn't it?
It was a huge movie. Jennifer Connelly.
It felt big. It felt big going to the theater to see it, but I was just a kid.
They thought that they were going to, because I believe that was one of the ones trying to ride the superhero, the Batman, Tim Burton's Batman was,
Mm-hmm.
And so they started trying to make other superhero films, but unfortunately, a lot of the studios, this wasn't like today where, Warner Brothers has the lockdown on all DC properties and Disney has all the Marvel properties and all that kind of stuff. So they were trying to find whatever they could to put together superhero fare. And so I think Disney was behind the Rocketeer, right? And I think
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
They had it was like an old serial reel, from the movie theater days of the Rocketeer. And so they were trying to, just like The Shadow, Alec Baldwin in The Shadow, that was one where they were trying to really ride the coattails of the Batmans and all that stuff. And
Right.
That one didn't quite work out because it didn't hit the right tone people were looking for.
Yeah, this is Disney.
But Tom Waits, the musician Tom Waits as Renfield. And we also have a cameo. I mean, she wasn't the big star over here that she is now, but a cameo by Miss Monica Bellucci as one of the brides.
Yep. Legend.
So Brad, before we get going here, so kind of set the stage. Like, how do you feel about this film?
I love this movie. There's some things we'll discuss about the movie. But overall, this was a very good adaptation of the novel. It was pretty accurate. And it was a big production. This is a big movie, so big sets, big actors. Everything is big and well done. And, it's Francis Ford Coppola. So, it's going to be done right. And this was a huge movie when it came out. And I think it lived up to the hype. I think that, right? I think this was one of those movies that a lot of people were excited to see. And I think it delivered when it came out.
This is one of those movies this was the movie that sailed 1,000 goth girl ships. This created a generation of goth kids. And I think even you had this followed
even more than Interview with a Vampire?
I think it was the combo. I think like this was like the first liftoff. And then Interview with the Vampire, when they got to see then the Brad Pitt and the Tom Cruise vampires.
Yeah.
Then next thing you know, you have things like the role-playing game Vampire the Masquerade coming out, and everybody's like really, really weird into vampires. And kids start living the vampire lifestyle, which we don't know exactly what that means.
I don't want to know what that means.
I think it's just wearing black on Tuesdays and hanging out at the mall and staying pale.
Although I think that this is probably the ultimate, right? This is Dracula, right? Is Dracula through everybody. So through Wolfman and Frankenstein and Freddy and Jason and Michael and Art and all Chucky and all these big guys, it all comes back to Dracula, doesn't it?
And yeah, and this I believe is the definitive. I think still the definitive Dracula
out of all the movies. Absolutely.
Bela Lugosi is the classic.
Yeah.
But I think as far as the Dracula story, I think everyone would point to this one as being the definitive version of it.
Right. It's the best version of Dracula, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, you have, and the story behind it is kind of interesting. It's a long movie, so we might as well start it at least. And then, then we can kind of go back and forth here, because this is a long flick. Now, to warn you, this may turn into a 2-part episode, because Brad and I love this fucking movie. So depending on how long we talk about it, or if we feel like we didn't quite get to enough by the time we're done tonight, we may come back around and record a little quick wrap up. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, Columbia Pictures produced this sucker. Do you know the story of how this came to be? Like how did the whole thing start? How did Francis Ford Coppola get involved and all that? Do you know any of that? Okay, so this wasn't like Francis Ford Coppola's like big baby to start with. This was James V. Hart had written this. Winona Ryder had read the James V. Hart script for this. She was like looking for projects, and she read the script. She had actually been originally cast as the daughter in The Godfather Part 3. Instead of Sofia Coppola, it was originally Winona Ryder. And then this kind of bad thing happened. This is sort of where this was made, and then eventually we see Winona Ryder's career get really kind of rocky for a long while. Before they made this, she was working on Godfather Part 3, and she was suffering from, what they call nervous exhaustion. Basically, it was like she was working so much and doing so much that, and you're not drinking enough water, you're not getting enough sleep, and she was basically having a breakdown.
I mean, big budget movie after big budget movie after big budget movie. I mean, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of pressure. You know, she was still
A
young.
lot of pressure. Sure.
She was still young. She's coming out of the kind of teen star era, trying to like figure out what's next. And so she basically is having a breakdown on Godfather Part 3. She's like, I can't continue. I'm so sorry, I can't do this. So she has to leave. And then Francis Ford Coppola, like last minute, was okay, my daughter will do it. And we'll reshoot some of the stuff. Sort of as I'm sorry. She felt like she had burned a bridge. Francis Ford Coppola, huge director, she felt like she had burned a bridge in the industry. So she gives him the script for Dracula and is like, this is something I'm interested in. I'd like to do it. I don't know if maybe we could do this together, but you let me know. And he read the script and he said that he had no interest in Dracula. He had no interest in horror, but it was the love story theme in the script that hooked him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he started thinking, it got his wheels turning, and about the time period that this is set in, the time period that the story came out, the silent film era with Nosferatu. He started having all these ideas of all the things he wanted to do with the effects and the transitions. All that started rolling around his head. So he's like, okay, yeah, I want it. Let's do it. So really it was Winona Ryder that got this thing off the ground and got it put together. And then it became Francis Ford Coppola's like big passion was to complete this film. And he ran into a bunch of problems because he started off with a regular like visual effects team. And they were going to do all this is, you know, we're moving from practical effects and even visual effects like the rotoscopes and all that kind of stuff. We're moving. This is that time period of the 90s where we're moving from that into that earliest VFX era with computers. And they're producing effects for him, and Francis Ford Coppola hates him. They're like, this is awful. He's like, I'm asking for things. You're not able to produce them to the quality that I'm asking. And then when I'm telling you what I want, you're telling me it's impossible. And he goes, meanwhile, the things I'm asking you for, people have been doing those things for 100 years without computers. And you're claiming you can't do it. So he fired them. He fired the VFX team. And he had his son, he told his son, I want you to head up my visual effects. And I want you take what I'm telling you I want and figure out a way to do it. And so Roman Coppola is the person behind all of the really cool in-camera effects, because there is only one effect in this film that had to be produced by using some form of VFX trickery, like, you know, rotoscoping, that kind of thing. And that's the blue flames at the gates of Dracula's castle.
Right. Yep.
They had to impose those into the shot in post-production.
Okay.
Everything else in this movie happens in camera, from shadow effects, everything. And we'll talk all about that as we go. But that's what sets this movie apart from so many others, not only made during this era, but so many other Dracula films. So now, Brad, we mentioned it. What's the thing that sets this one apart from every other Dracula film made before this, other than the
Well, I think a lot of the
effects?
other Dracula films tried to copy more the Bela Lugosi style of the big cape, wearing tuxedo, wearing slick back hair. Even with the movies with Jack Palance and Christopher Lee and stuff like that, they were still wearing that Bela Lugosi style outfit. This is kind of different. He doesn't wear a cape in this one. He doesn't, he's wearing street clothes, or he's wearing gentleman's clothes, or he's wearing, kind of the dress of his, people, from centuries ago. So it's it's taking directly from the novel as opposed to the Bela Lugosi adaptation of it. That's really what sets it apart.
Right, and because the biggest Dracula movie to be out before this was Dan Curtis's Dracula from '74, starring Frank Langella as Dracula,
yeah,
and Sir Laurence Olivier as Van Helsing.
Yeah.
And that was sort of a strange amalgamation of sort of the Todd Browning and the Hammer horror coming together, kind of formulated that one. Because Dan Curtis, that's kind of where his background is coming from, like the Hammer horror stuff, the British version of things. And like you said, this is the first one to really embrace the novel. Even the style of being told in the form of diary entries and letters. It keeps to that because Bram Stoker used that format in the novel.
That's the book.
That's the book. That's to relate the story. You're reading their diary entries. Right. You're reading their letters. You're reading news articles about the events.
Right.
Which is an amazing, ingenious way to tell a story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And Francis Ford Coppola was smart enough to know that, well, that's what worked for the book. That should work in film as well.
Right.
And it does, because during those moments when you're hearing the voiceover narration, he's showing you these amazingly visually compelling shots. Like right now, I'm watching the shot where Harker is on the train, which is most likely, they don't mention it, and it's not even in the book. It's most likely the Orient Express. And he's on the train going to where, Brad? Where's he first heading? What's the first city he stops at?
I forget. What?
Budapest.
Oh, yeah, I'm right.
Yeah, they have this great, wonderful opening that like sets the tone and the scale and the love story, and then introduces you to Mina and Lucy and John. It's introducing you to all these characters, and you're like getting this whole wonderful introduction. And then Keanu Reeves says,
"Oh boy,
Budapest."
So what do you want to do, Kyle? You want to get into this now or what?
Well, so Brad, you and I think that this is a masterpiece.
Yes.
But I have heard so many other voices, other opinions that downgrade this movie well below that. And there's usually, and I think we agree, this should have been a legendary film.
Yes.
Absolute legendary.
Yes.
All the elements are there.
Yep.
To make this
not all of them
the greatest literature to horror adaptation of all time.
Green adaptation of all time. Yep. Definitely. Yep. But
what is almost singularly holding it back?
All right. Okay, listen. Since more than one person listens to this thing, let me say this as best as I possibly can. I think that Keanu Reeves is probably the greatest person to ever inhabit the earth besides Jesus himself. All right. I know that this guy helps old ladies across the street. I know he gets cats out of trees. I know he's a total badass. He does weapons training for John Wick. Like he could play bass really well. Like the dude can do everything except give a good performance in this film. And I love Bill and Ted. I love him in Bill and Ted. I absolutely, even the last one that came out a few years ago was hilarious. Like it was awesome. Like it was great. I loved Speed. Like loved that movie. Thought it was really great. This is not his wheelhouse.
Yes.
All right. So I feel as though had another actor been cast, I feel that the movie would have been much, much better. Because Gary Oldman is amazing in this movie. Like, he really is amazing. He's done everything he's in, he's good. Like, Gary Oldman is one of the greatest actors ever. But and all the roles he's played, this is my absolute favorite. He is so good. My issue comes when I'm watching the scene with Gary Oldman and he is just slaying it. Like, he's just killing it. He's just owning the scene, right? And then camera switch. There's Keanu. You know, it's like, oh, it's the man himself. You know, and you're just, I just can't. It kills it. It just absolutely kills it. And then on top of that, I know that you and I have also discussed, and again, I love Stranger Things. I love Beetlejuice. I love Heathers. I love Edward Scissorhands. I love almost everything she's ever been in, right? But Winona is not exactly, you know, Meryl Streep in this either. However, going back and preparing for this episode, I tried to clear my mind. I just tried to give it a blank slate and just like, okay, go. Because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I was just looking at it. Maybe I just couldn't picture Keanu in anything else other than Ted Theodore Logan. You know, maybe I couldn't picture, you know, Winona Ryder as anything other than the girl in Beetlejuice. So I tried. And what I discovered was I was right the entire time. But I feel like Winona, I probably was a little too harsh on Winona Ryder's performance. Because when I went back and watched it, I was like, actually, she's not the problem in this. She's not really the problem in this movie.
Right. If she had been the only lackluster performance in the film, and Jonathan Harker, whoever else you could have plugged in there, had done a better job than Keanu Reeves, this film goes way up the ladder. Because Winona, her performance is good enough.
Yeah. I mean, she's sharing scenes with Anthony Hopkins and Gary Oldman. I mean, that is a lot of pressure. You know, and previously, you know, Cher, right, obviously, and Michael Keaton and, you know, some other folks. But really, these were probably the biggest actors she's ever shared a screen with up to that point, maybe?
Probably.
So
in a major dramatic context,
right. Right. So I think that you're right. She did good enough. She did well enough. She held her own. I liked her I like her in other things. Again, I want to make that clear. I like her in other things. But I felt when you have an actor, two actors the caliber of Gary Oldman and Anthony Hopkins, you have to surround them with, oh man, think of a different way to say it, Brian. Think of a different way to say it. You have to surround them with just better actors. I'm sorry. There's no other way to put it. I felt like almost like if Carrie Elways, who's in this movie as well, maybe was in the role of Jonathan Harker, they would have been better. Because I feel like he's a better actor. Yeah, was that harsh? Was that bad?
No, I don't believe so. Because it really did come down to Francis Ford Coppola initially denied that he cast Keanu Reeves for any other reason other than he thought he was going to be good for the role or whatever. But eventually he did confirm in some later interviews that Keanu Reeves was picked pretty much because they were worried that younger audiences weren't going to come to the film. That it was only going to appeal to a certain segment of the audience.
And they might have been correct.
It's possible. But
I mean, Keanu Reeves at this point in 1992, I mean, he does it now, but he was on a streak. So like he puts butts in the seats. So I get it.
However, like you pointed out, you have Carrie Elwes.
Yes.
Who is Princess Bride Carrie Elwes.
Yep.
There is very little reason you don't put Carrie Elwes in that role.
If I was... I'm trying to be careful. If you were looking for the more talented actor, yes.
Well,
if you are looking at box office, no. Then you go with Keanu Reeves. Like, because Keanu Reeves, again, puts at this point, and I get it, Princess Bride and everything, but you're talking about Ted Theodore Logan, man. Like, you're talking about,
are you defending Francis Ford Coppola's casting of Keanu Reeves?
No, I'm not defending it because it didn't make for a better film. I'm defending it because if he was under a lot of pressure to get butts in the seats for this movie, because it's an expensive movie, the budget on this thing had to be pretty big, right? So if you have a big budget movie, you got to make up all that money. The studios are putting pressure on you. I don't know that, I don't know if Francis Ford Coppola said it or not, but like, I don't know if any studio guy was like, you're casting Keanu Reeves. Like, you know that, don't you?
Who could you think of at the time period this was made, 1992? Is there any, like, what actor would you think could have done the same thing for the production economically, but who could have been a better pick as far as ability-wise other than Keanu Reeves?
Probably. What about like Kiefer Sutherland or something?
That's possible. That would be
Kiefer Sutherland, maybe even like, I bet you Charlie Sheen could have pulled it off.
At that time, probably.
I mean, you're talking about Platoon and Wall Street.
Right.
I mean, you're talking about, and he did heavy lifting in those movies. So you're talking about an actor who is, and do not forget, with all the tiger blood and all the winning and all the craziness that comes along with Charlie Sheen, he was a very, very good actor.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who could have done the British accent and pulled it off.
I mean, you could have, trying to think of like British actors, in 1992.
Yeah.
That could have done it. What about a young Hugh Laurie?
A young Hugh? I don't know about that.
But you're not but that's the thing. You're not putting butts in the seat. So your question is,
right,
who would be able to carry this movie as well as put butts in the seats, just do a better job than Keanu did? But I think, I think I named it. Johnny Depp could have done it.
Yeah,
Johnny Depp would have killed this.
Johnny Depp, yeah, early Johnny Depp before he started like being fake British all the time. A young Johnny Depp probably could have done it. Because if you look at,
no, not probably could have done it. He could have done it.
If you look at like Sleepy Hollow,
yeah.
He could have brought across a very good British accent.
Well, yeah, okay, I got you. Yeah, absolutely, he could have, and he would have put butts in the seats as well. So I don't know. Maybe he was up for consideration, but he was doing. This is 1992, I think. Well, I mean, Winona Ryder was in Edward Scissorhands, but he had quite a big, full plate, I think, at the time.
Yeah, he was up for lots of.
He might not have been available.
So let's talk about, while we're talking about it, let's talk about so at this point we've seen that first meeting. Jonathan Harker comes to the castle. For anybody that doesn't know the classic Dracula story, you've probably been living under a rock. But Jonathan Harker goes there to settle this real estate deal Count Dracula is going to come to England and set up shop.
Which, by the way, sorry to interrupt, but it really doesn't take place in London. Really, like most of the movie takes place in a coastal town that's like on the east coast of England.
Correct, Whitby.
I forget that Whitby. Thank you.
Yeah, Whitby. I believe there is. Is the asylum and all that still in like Carfax Abbey?
I think it's in Whitby.
You think?
I think I think most of it's in Whitby. Because they do all the Renfield. I'm trying to think back. It's been a while since I read it, but I'm pretty sure when you were reading about Renfield, like it was still in Whitby.
In Whitby. Yeah, so
because that's where Dracula comes. He doesn't come to London.
Right. He's planning. Although they do say that he sets up multiple. He's buying multiple properties.
Right.
And I believe that many of them, like Whitby, is like his initial stop, but he's going to London.
But my only point is that in the movie, it's just right to London. It's not.
Yeah. Right.
It's not Whitby.
And so one point that they kind of gloss over, that actually there was a Dracula series on Netflix that did it really well, where you see as he's draining Jonathan Harker over time, he begins to learn how to speak better English, develops a more British sounding accent that he's picking as he drinks the blood. He's picking up on all these things so that he can pass better when he gets to England.
That's cool.
And, yeah. So you get a little bit of, and some of that's in the book. In the book, he's obviously growing younger, becoming more virile as he feeds. And we start meeting the other cast of characters after that. We start meeting, we follow Mina a little bit more. We meet Lucy. Lucy Westenra. We meet Dr. Jack Seward. We meet Arthur Holmwood, Lord Godalming, Arthur Holmwood. We meet what's the cowboy's name? That's I have it written down. We meet
Quincy
Morris. That's right. We meet Quincy Morris, and we begin to see that Dracula is already forming his plans. Like when he's meeting. Now, I got a good question for you. This brings up a good question. Do you think that there are some people I've heard that speculate that Dracula, at least in this story, because this is the version of the story where it's like, oh, Mina is supposed to be the reincarnated love that he lost, centuries ago.
Elizabeth.
And some people speculate that he is forming this plan to go there because he already knows that she exists. But in the film, he discovers the picture. Jonathan has the little picture he carries with him of Mina, and Dracula sees that and, gets like a chub. And
can I take this? Excuse me.
Don't knock on my door for about 45 minutes.
Comes out, gives it back. It's all sticky.
Erzabetta.
The glass is all cloudy now.
It is the cum itself.
Ah, damn. Damn, dude.
It's all necrotic and gummy. So do you think that, like, what's your take on it? Do you think that this is like a spur of the moment? Like he was just planning on going to England, but now he's discovered like the target of his.
I'm trying to remember in the book
does he create this whole plan, whole cloth before John is like the reason he's going.
No,
I
always viewed it as his big grand plan that he already had, like that this was what he was going to do.
Yeah.
So because he's all powerful, so he sees things, he feels things, and stuff like that, and so
he already
I don't
knew,
think it had anything to do with John. No, I don't think
something
it had
is
to do
drawing
with
me to London, and I don't quite know what it is. And then, I see the picture, and this is why.
Yeah,
Yeah. I rewatching this again. There's a funny little touch in the scene where I almost feel like, and maybe it's just the way Gary Oldman plays it, I almost feel like he's not planning, because he doesn't kill everybody that he comes across. Like, he could be killing like just random people like left and right when he gets to England. But he's not killing everyone he comes. He doesn't even. They touch upon, everybody always has to come up with a reason why Renfield is in league with him, because it doesn't really lay it out in the book. So in this story, Renfield was like the first real estate agent that went to visit, and now he's nutty because of his encounter with Dracula. But it seems like in the initial interaction, he doesn't give you the vibe like, I'm going to totally kill this guy, or I'm going to do like heinous shit to this guy.
Yeah.
It seems more like, we're going to wrap this up, and then, I'm going to fuck off to England. But then Gary Oldman kind of does this thing where he sees the picture, and I feel like in that scene there's some kind of subtle change where now he's like, I'm going to fucking kill you so I can like get your chick.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wasn't planning on, like I was kind of like on the
I was gonna fuck with you, but I was gonna eventually I was gonna send you home.
Yeah. Like I was gonna let you go because I don't want to get to England and have them asking me whatever happened to Harker. You know?
Yeah.
But now I saw the picture and it's like, you're dead.
Yeah.
That's just the vibe I get.
Yep.
And then of course they have, the many adventures of Jonathan Harker in the Castle of Doom. And
but
we get
this is what we want in a Dracula's castle, though.
Right. The laws of physics don't apply.
The laws of physics don't apply. It's the big, spooky castle on the hill, right? It's the big, scary castle.
Which actually...
Not like Nosferatu, which is like like we talked about in that episode, how it's like some kind of like, I don't know, Alpine villa or whatever, yeah.
And even the castle in this film vaguely looks like someone's sitting on a throne, doesn't it? The way it sits on the precipice and everything.
Yep.
And they talk about, like I said, every single thing you see in Dracula's castle is all done on set, in camera, as they're shooting the scene.
Yeah.
So, stuff drips up instead of dripping down. That's literally done by just like hanging somebody upside down to make it drip that way. They do like a split screen, which is still technically like a pretty rudimentary visual effect when they have the rats running across the ceiling upside down.
Mm-hmm.
And they have some great effects with Dracula's shadow. Dracula's shadow, I remember being one of like the biggest, like when this came out, it was like one of the biggest. Shit! How do they do that?
Kyle, Monica Bellucci's on.
Yeah, we have to stop talking for a second because this is where he encounters the brides. The first time he encounters the brides, and they he ends up in a room, and they go to seduce him so that they can feed upon him. And they appear, they like rise upward out of the bed.
Out of the bed. Yeah.
Yeah, right out of the bed. And they actually, that was another thing that was done live. They actually had a magician come in and consult as to how you would make these women just appear out of the sheets and things.
Did Gary Oldman wince at the cross earlier in the movie?
He did. Yeah,
okay, so if Gary Oldman winced at the cross, well, I guess he has a purpose and everything, so he has a plan, so it wouldn't have gone according to plan. But the girls just come up and she's like, I'm just gonna melt this shit and it's just gonna go away.
Yeah, she melts it off his body.
Right. So Kyle, the ladies in this scene are
The nipple licking.
okay. Right. So yep. So this is like a big sex scene, and
Yeah.
the ladies are topless and everything. When Dracula appears, I'll just skip ahead a little. Well, he's appearing now. So Dracula appears, and the girls go scattering, but it's one of them is like two of them are joined together,
Yeah.
right? And it's just like one creature.
Yeah, it's like
Two of them are. It's like think Siamese twins kind of thing.
Not to be too crude, but it's as if like their vaginas suction cup to one another.
Right. Like they're joined there, and then
and so she crane lifts the other one off of the bed and like takes off with her. Yeah.
So you think Keanu's boner just like it's like, oh god.
If it didn't then, it does when they eat the baby.
Oh yeah, eating a baby in front. Yeah, it's a boner killer.
Yeah, Dracula, and that's been depicted in other films, but not quite as horrifically, I don't think, as this one.
This is like the greatest, most like evil laugh, ever.
But Dracula literally he shows up, he's pissed off because he's like, that dude is mine, and again, you can't quite tell. I mean, in the book, it becomes clear that Dracula is probably feeding off of him, but also to some extent, he is like trying to keep him alive in some way. He doesn't want him to be dead, right off the bat. So he like flies in and does like the classic, like, get. I'll tell you though, that's horrific. Christopher Lee in that first Dracula film that he does, when he comes in and he fucking just picks that girl up off Jonathan Harker and fucking throws her like across the big wooden dining table.
Yeah.
And he comes and his eyes are all fucking bloodshot and shit. That is slightly scarier than that. But but they do this great thing. He flies in. He's basically like, get the fuck off him. And then to sort of like appease the brides, like, oh, you want to feed on something. He fucking hands him a baby, like a screaming baby.
Yeah.
And then they fall on it like a pack of wolves.
Right.
And it's fucked up. It's totally fucked up. But then, of course, it cuts to Keanu.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh, no!
He's doing the weirdest scream ever.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is like it's a wonderful depiction of that entire sequence at the castle. You get the classic Dracula crawling down the wall at one point, and all that wonderful stuff. And they keep doing this great thing. They cut back to like Jonathan's like tale of horrors, and then Mina like waiting on Jonathan like back in Whitby, like, oh, I'm to be married. oh, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And her little like, basically, having like every day is sort of like a dream, play date in the garden with her friend Lucy. And
quite a life.
Yeah. Now, do you remember what is Mina? What does she do in the books? Like, what is her like for a job? She has a job in the book. She does. She's a schoolmistress. She teaches school. She's a teacher.
Oh, okay.
And meanwhile, Lucy is just rich.
Right.
Now we got to talk a little bit about Lucy. Sadie Frost does a wonderful job. She's very beautiful. She's got the red hair, which was not her natural hair coloring,
right,
in this. But she's got the red hair, long red hair, and they kind of set it up. The first time you meet Lucy, they're at that party, and that's where we meet like the three suitors. That's where we meet Jack Seward, the doctor. We meet Quincy Morris. We meet Arthur Holmwood. And so I got to ask the question, in this film, Lucy is depicted in a very particular way that she's not depicted necessarily in other versions of the story. And am I wrong? Like she's a bit of a tart, right? like like
In what way? What do you mean?
well, so she's got these three guys that are trying to like win her hand in marriage.
Yeah.
And one of the themes of the film, now I say this in the context of one of the themes of the film that Francis Ford Coppola was very aware of, is sort of the role of women in Victorian society, and that there's a certain level of propriety and, you know, certain things that they're allowed to do, not allowed to do. And a lot of it is wrapped up in getting married and who you want to marry a gentleman. You want to marry a man with prospects. That's why you've got Mina and Jonathan. You know, she's a schoolmistress marrying this guy who is a real estate attorney. You know, and it's this, you know, it's this great match. And Lucy has these three suitors. One's a doctor, one's like a rancher from America, and one is a lord, you know, with land and title. But meanwhile, like kind of behind the scenes, when the men aren't around, the girls talk about scandalous stuff. And Lucy really plays up the fact that, you know, she makes a lot of innuendos that Mina thinks are like, oh, you know, we can't talk about that. And Lucy is very forward with how she talks to the men.
Yeah.
And there's even some, and this is even in the book, she kisses one of them. And in Victorian society, like, that's like some, like, kissing the guy, even though you have no intention of marrying that guy, that's like, you know, I mean, this is an age where you didn't go out in public without gloves on. You couldn't show your ankles. So for her to just go smooching with one of these guys is like a big deal. And so I kind of like, I just found it interesting the way they decided in this film, especially because in the book she's slightly more proper, even though she talked about kissing one of the guys.
She is, yeah.
But in the movie, he really plays up that there's this dichotomy between Lucy and Mina.
Yeah. She's a wild woman.
And so I think it ends up within the context of this story, it makes it sort of makes it a bit of like an obvious thing, like, oh, she would be susceptible to Dracula right away. Because it's sort of like, of course, like she is more sex forward than Mina is. Mina's reserved. She's engaged to Jonathan.
We call that
she's
sex positive.
Sex positive, yes.
She's sex positive.
and then that's sort of the lead in to where we get one of the most questionable, I think, scenes of the film.
Oh, well, there's a little bit of bestiality in this movie. So is that it's just a touch. You know, it's a quick scene. But yeah, the wolfman Dracula is banging Lucy.
It's a really weird choice.
It's an odd choice.
It's a really weird choice. I think, and it's one of those things where I think that Francis Ford Coppola, in one sense, is trying to make this commentary on the society in which they live and the ideas of desire and repressed desire and all that kind of stuff. But he then decides to work through that by having the sex positive character who represents kind of going against all of those norms, decides to have them raped because it's not consensual. She's under the influence of Dracula. So he decides to have her raped by a wolfman, basically.
She's, I don't know. Oh, no, never mind. I was going to say something terrible. No, you're right. Yep, absolutely. Let's move on.
And so with that, like that's sort of like the werewolf rape is is Dracula's big entrance to Britain. And then I think we have like what became one of the most classic moments. So up to now, you've seen Dracula as the crusty old guy with the hairy palms and the boob hair, right?
Right.
But then
Which
he
is a
busts
cool
out,
look.
which is a very cool, interesting look. They did take some inspiration, I guess, from Japanese culture, Japanese theater, with the hair, the way they did the hair, and of course, there was a Japanese clothing designer that did all the clothes for the film. But then he busts out of that coffin, and in that instance, in 1992, when Gary Oldman busts out of that coffin, young and bare-chested, like all the goths in the theater like cream their jeans, right? Because he looks so good. And then we get this great sequence where Francis Ford Coppola then, as Dracula, like enters the city. It's like silent film style, not black and white, but it has that like, however many frames per second silent film entry here. And we get to see him in the gray on gray suit with the little blue glasses.
Yep.
And I think this is like the moment that like things like Hot Topic was invented. I think Hot Topic was whoever was watching this movie was like, I'm going to make a store.
Yeah. Yeah. I got it.
Little blue sunglasses for everyone.
Right.
And I have to say though, like in this scene, Winona Ryder looks absolutely amazing in that green outfit, right? Like the style in this movie is crazy. She got the little hat and it's got like the green leaves and stuff. Like this was set up like this was what Francis Ford Coppola wanted though. He wanted to pull you in to this love story and to set this up. And of course, like this is now like the seduction of Mina Murray, right? This is where Dracula is now like, I'm gonna make you forget all about Jonathan Harker. He's left Jonathan at the castle. He gives two fucks about Jonathan,
Oh,
I
no.
I left that dude to the brides now,
Well, yeah.
So Brad, do you wanna hear who auditioned for Dracula other than Gary Oldman?
Sure.
Andy Garcia, Gabriel Byrne.
Yeah. Yeah, he could have pulled. Yep. Okay.
Armand Asante.
I love Armand Asante. Oh my God. That's my man. No, he did that fucking movie where he was the blind cowboy. Remember on HBO? It was an HBO original movie. And then like he was fighting the bad guy at the end. And there's an explosion, right? And they both fell over. And he slowly like picks himself back up. And he picks his gun up. And he points it at the guy. And he goes, I can't see you. And I can't hear you. You smell like shit. Bam! And he blows him away. Because he uses his sense of smell. Because he can't hear or see. But Armand Asante, absolutely. You know what? Fuck yeah. That's absolutely. Yep. Love that dude.
Antonio Banderas audition.
Definitely. Oh God, yes.
And Antonio Banderas, Dracula,
because he went on.
He
went. Oh yes, very much so. He's very. When he did Interview with the Vampire, I mean that's true. Basically, you got a preview of what that would have been like anyway.
True. And last but not least, Viggo Mortensen. Pre-Lord of the Rings, Viggo Mortensen auditioned for Dracula.
Yeah, probably. He's a really good actor.
And not only that, but Renfield was almost Steve Buscemi.
Oh, yeah. Steve Buscemi would have crushed that. Absolutely.
But yeah, it's pretty wild, like all the different twists and turns, like behind the scenes that this could have taken, that would have like made this a completely different film.
Hmm.
Um,
Like what, Kyle?
well, just the idea of like the casting, like that they,
Okay.
the different casting choices that they made.
Yep.
Like Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman was kind of a risk at this time. Gary Oldman was kind of basically wrapped up in some alcoholic tendencies, and to the point where it scared the shit out of some of the cast.
Hmm.
Because he could be kind of he would improv and stuff, and so they never quite knew what he was going to do. There's a very famous, and I heard a version of the story which I won't repeat because I honestly don't think it's true. It sounds kind of dumb. But apparently when they were in pre-production rehearsals and things, Gary Oldman and Winona Ryder were very friendly. They were like getting along famously. And at some point during the production, which they've said was due to some antics that supposedly Coppola told him to do or something. But again, it seems like lame, like that would be a reason she would get like upset. I have a feeling like during like filming at some point, he probably like, crossed what today would be a pretty clear line as far as something about his performance, whether it was too rough, too violent, too whatever. He did something, she like got like, whoa. And then like for the rest of the shoot, they were not cool.
Oh man.
And they didn't like, it was like a few years later or something, he like had to reach out to her to like make amends, like when he started to like, clean up his act. And now they're friends. But apparently he did something during the shoot that she was like, nope. And so it was only on camera that, that's where they would kind of communicate. And then she would go to her trailer and he would go to his, and they didn't really talk after that.
Oh man. That's
it doesn't
sad
come
to
across
hear.
in the film.
No,
it
it
doesn't come
doesn't.
across in the film at all.
No, they have pretty good chemistry on screen.
Absolutely.
So Kyle, question. Vampire movie, right? So what do you think of the fangs in this movie?
The fact that the fangs are good. The fangs are kind of classic, right?
Yep. Well, because you have, the reason that I ask is because every vampire story that you ever watch, the fangs are, tweaked a little bit.
They always have
right?
to do yeah, they always have
Some
to do
are
something different.
Like I'm rewatching True Blood, and there's almost like they like click down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They flick
but they
down.
do that great shot in this where his slowly grow.
Right, his slowly grow. Yeah, and then some others they're already there. So or whatever. And then you have the classic, the Nosferatu, where the fangs are in the front. And not
like a rat. Yeah.
not the canines, they're the front. What are these teeth called?
Your incisors.
No, these aren't the incisors. These are the incisors. Like canine, incisors, and then these
canines.
Yeah, sure.
No, these are canines? The ones on the side. The ones in between the canines and the incisors, I think, are your bicuspids.
Bicuspids.
Those are bicuspids. These are incisors.
Right. These are
canines,
incisors.
Incisors.
Bicuspids.
Canines.
I got it. All right.
Molars.
Molars.
These are the molars.
Oh my god. All right.
Now, I actually like that, and the idea that that was the only practical effect I don't think I've seen how they did that to make his teeth slowly come in like that.
Question.
Yeah.
Trying to remember back. Are there any fangs in the 31 Dracula?
No,
No.
I don't think anybody has fangs.
No.
That'd be something
That's
interesting. To see
interesting.
is, like,
So
when,
who had the first appearance of fangs? What movie gave Dracula
like
the fangs?
I would say you'd have to say
classic
the classic canine fangs.
Yeah.
'Cause
Well,
you
because
obviously have
Nosferatu, right.
Yeah, but who had like the first classic canine fangs? It had to. Well, would it be Christopher Lee, or was there somebody before?
Was
him?
there a later appearance by Bela Lugosi where he had the fangs? Like,
It's
did
possible.
he have it in? Did he have them in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein? Did he have fangs?
So much of that though, he's like walking around, he's like covered up.
Right.
So I don't really remember.
Yeah.
But I mean, Christopher Lee, because I mean that's one of the classic shots is of him like hissing with like the fangs in.
Right.
So yeah, I'm not sure.
That's something we should look up.
Yeah.
Not now. We don't have to look.
Not right now. No,
we're busy right now. But yeah. So I'm just curious. I like the fangs.
So now, partway through the movie, we get the introduction of, I mean, who is the other obvious character you have to have if you're telling the story of Dracula?
Oh, Van Helsing. Ha
You are the light of all lights. You are God's light, Mina.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have Sir Anthony Hopkins, Tony Hopkins, as Abraham Van Helsing.
I don't think you can call him Tony. I think only his friends call him Tony.
He asks everybody to call him Tony. Yeah, I think he is on record as preferring Tony to Anthony.
Not you.
No, he didn't specifically.
You say Sir Anthony.
He doesn't answer my letters, so.
Yep.
So in my notes, I'm reading through my notes before we get too deep into Van Helsing talk. Guess who was actually offered the part of Jonathan Harker prior to Keanu Reeves?
Johnny Depp?
No.
Oh.
Think of someone else that totally, from this time period, who would have been a big
Tom Cruise?
Who totally can't do a British accent.
Brad Pitt?
Who we know for a fact can't do one.
Brad Pitt?
Close. Christian Slater.
Oh, because of Robin Hood. Oh, Robin Hood. Prince of Thieves. Oh, my goodness. 1991, right?
Accent.
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner couldn't do it.
Kevin Costner could not do it. Oh, that was just terrible.
Yeah.
That was awful. Yeah. Oh, but how awesome was the movie, though?
It was...
Accents aside.
Yeah.
How many times did you watch Robin Hood?
I mean, tons. When it was on HBO, once a day.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. And you fucking belted out that Bryan Adams song in the car when no one's looking.
It was the triplet. It was Bryan Adams, Sting, and who was the...
No. That was the Three Musketeers. All for one, one for all. That one?
Yeah, I'm thinking of...
the Three Musketeers. That's Charlie Sheen,
You're right.
Oliver Platt, Kiefer Sutherland. And who's the one who played... The guy who played Robin?
Chris O'Donnell.
Thank you. And Tim Curry.
Tim Curry D'Artagnan.
Tim Curry was in that movie.
Cardinal Richelieu.
Yep.
You're right. Bryan Adams did do it was a solo for.
It was him and Sting and Rod Stewart. Was it Rod Stewart?
Rod Stewart.
No.
It was. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Was it?
It was. It was him, Sting, and Rod Stewart. Yep. Yeah. Because if you're filming a movie about the Three Musketeers, you have to have three singers.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Gotta have three singers.
Yeah. Man.
But yeah. So anyway, Anthony
It's got to be so easy to be a fucking record label executive. I think it must be one of the fucking easiest jobs in the world.
Yeah, it's literally just like, so you know what we're gonna do? It's the Three Musketeers, right? It's the Three Musketeers. So I got an idea, and this is what we're going to do.
Let's get three. We got to get three. We got to have three
singers. We got
three
singers. Three Musketeers, three singers. Three Musketeers, three singers. All right. I want you to
see
get
the
Patty
connection.
On the phone.
You see the connection. You see the connection.
I want you to get Patty on the phone, and I want Sting and Rod Stewart and Bryan Adams here. I want them here tomorrow morning because we're going to have James Horner write the song, and then we're going to film it on location at the place where we filmed the movie. It's not going to be in France, though. We can't afford France. It's going to be somewhere else, but it's going to be great. It's going to be big.
Who's Patty? No one knows who Patty is.
Patty's the fixer, the personal assistant.
The fixer.
Get Patty on the phone.
She's the cleaner?
I want you. Yeah, Patty's the one in the back seat, mopping up the blood and picking up the little pieces of brain. Anyway, so Anthony Hopkins does double duty in this, right? Because he plays Van Helsing, but also who does he play?
He plays the what is he? A bishop?
Priest.
Just a priest.
Just a priest, I think. Yeah.
He's just a guy.
Yeah, he's an Eastern Orthodox priest, because it would have been Eastern Orthodox, right, in that context.
Yep.
And
sure.
I think so. And
because there was the fall of Constantinople.
It is a weird thing he does. I think basically it's sort of like Francis Ford Coppola trying to make the point of like, well, if Mina is like the reincarnation of Dracula's bride, Elzbieta, that Anthony Hopkins, that Van Helsing is sort of like the reincarnation of like the old foe of the forces of evil. So it's like the priest. But now, in modern day, though, he's a scientist who has figured out the ways to finally defeat the great evil. But Anthony Hopkins. So what do we think of Anthony Hopkins, Brad? What do we think about this guy?
Think about this guy.
Who is this guy?
What kind of a question is that? That's a terrible question.
Well,
what do I think of Anthony Hopkins? He's brilliant. Of course, if you can get Anthony Hopkins for almost any role, you put him in it. Like, yes, he's fucking fantastic.
But what do we think of his performance as?
It's wonderful. All right, it's fucking wonderful, right? No, it's. I mean, seriously, like when I was saying it earlier. You have two dynamic actors like Gary Oldman and Anthony Hopkins, and they held they are part of why I love this movie. Obviously, the shots are beautiful. Francis Ford Coppola did a fantastic job. It's a beautifully shot movie. They spared no expense, but you get great performances from the two heavyweights that you were counting on to carry the movie, and they did, because, like we said earlier, you have Keanu Reeves and you have Winona Ryder to kind of put the butts in the seats, but who's carrying the movie? It's Gary Oldman's carrying the movie. Anthony Hopkins is carrying the movie. Right.
And do you think, like, Anthony Hopkins, he seems kind of off the wall in this movie. Like, I'm not sure where.
Oh, you're talking about his portrayal of Van Helsing.
His portrayal of Van Helsing.
As opposed to, what's his name? From the 31 version.
I'm bad with, I'm bad with names, classically bad with names, so I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I remember Dwight Fry as Renfield, but I can't remember, unfortunately, the actor that plays Van Helsing.
Yep.
But yeah, he's like, that guy kind of plays it more straight.
He's very straight. And he's very good versus evil, kind of like, he's kind of battling evil. He's fighting the good fight, where Van Helsing is Van Helsing is that character in this. He doesn't necessarily lose sight of that. Like, however, he is a little off. He's a little off kilter.
He feels dangerous.
Yeah.
His presence feels dangerous. Like that in this one, I think, and some other productions have tried to kind of capture a little bit of that feeling. But in this one, it feels like that if it meant defeating Dracula, Van Helsing there's a chance Van Helsing would kill you to do it. If killing you somehow got him to having Dracula dead, winning, he would sacrifice you to do it.
Yeah, because this portrayal of Van Helsing, instead of like, there is fighting the good fight, but there's the obsession of it. So like in the 31 version, there's no obsession. He's just kind of like an expert. He's a smart guy. He knows how to fight Dracula. He's very righteous, and he's very, this is right and this is wrong and yada yada yada. And I'm going to tell you how to defeat the monster and blah blah blah. Anyway, so but in this one, there's this like lifelong obsession that goes along with Dracula. Like he's been chasing this his entire life, and he's lost his mind doing it. And he finally has him near, and he can finally confront him, and it just kind of makes him a little bit more rough and obsessive and wild in this portrayal. And I love it. I think he did a fantastic job with it.
Yeah, because he literally straight up has that one moment where he like that storm is rising, and he opens his book to
the Dracula.
Vlad Tepes.
Yeah,
and he's like, talking about how his whole life has been leading to this. He's literally been studying vampirism and all the evils of nature to like get to the point of like going up against the ultimate evil.
Right. I got to tell you, when this movie came out, because this was 92, we were 13 years old. I checked out so many books on Vlad the Impaler after this movie came out. I got pretty obsessed with it.
Yeah, I mean, Bram Stoker, he very, very, he took an inspiration. It's very loose, obviously.
Yep.
But he took an inspiration because of the part of the world he was trying to depict, the setting. He wanted that old Eastern European. The whole idea was to kind of pit old world against new world. And he was going to call the vampire something else. He was going to set it in a different place. And then he read about Vlad Tepes and decided, this is going to be, a guy who impaled people and then supposedly ate parts of them and drank their blood. This is the guy I'm going to make my vampire. To the constant praise and disdain combined of the Romanian people, because the people of Romania and Transylvania, they love the fact that everyone knows Dracula.
Yep.
Because it brings people year after year.
Tourism.
But then
sure.
It's like a switcheroo, because they get you there and then they tell you about how Vlad Tepes was like the greatest hero their people ever produced. And defended them from the evil hordes of the East.
Right. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, he was not like Vlad Tepes was a product of his time. He was not a nice guy, but he saw himself as a defender of his people.
I wouldn't have a beer with him.
Yeah, I mean, and he had reasons.
I wouldn't pick him up at the airport if he asked.
Right, but he had reasons to not be nice. He was
Vlad, take an Uber.
They represented the frontier of Christianity, and so they were like constantly under threat from the Muslim countries, the different Muslim rulers trying to invade the Western countries of Europe. And other than impaling and drinking blood and all that, one of the most famous stories, one of my morbidly favorite stories, is when two two sort of like messengers, two diplomats show up to try to like bargain peace terms. They're offering peace terms to Vlad. And when they came in, though, they did not show the common respect and courtesy of their country by doffing their caps. Apparently, wherever they were from, and I think it possibly had something to do with Islam. You don't take off your head covering. So they did not remove their hats when they came in. But in his court, from his culture, I don't care who your God is, you take your hat off when you address me. So his response to their peace treaty was to nail their hats to their heads and send them back. Basically saying, oh, if you don't take your hats off when you come to speak to a ruler of my stature, you'll never take your hats off again.
Yep. Ouch.
And, he sent their bodies back with the hats nailed to their heads and a note explaining what happened.
I always worry about getting a nail in the head,
Is that a common occurrence?
I go into a lot of attics. So
where there's like exposed
all the exposed nails are in there. It's like a real fear, man.
Should wear a hard hat.
Well, we have bump caps. So, and if anybody from work is listening, take it from the chair of the safety committee. Wear your bump cap.
So, speaking of talking about Vlad and like the history of the thing.
Yep.
We're watching over time. We're watching a few things happen. Lucy is getting worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
Because Dracula is feeding off of her so that he doesn't get tempted to feed off of Mina because he's trying to seduce her. He's resisted already once feeding on Mina.
Yep.
And his idea is somehow like in his mind, he wants to do this right, quote unquote. So when she stumbles upon the werewolf sex, the missionary werewolf sex, he's like, no, don't look at me. yeah, don't look at me like that.
Don't look at me.
He like.
I was gonna tell you I was into this shit, baby. I'm sorry. I wasn't ready to have that conversation with you, baby. I'm sorry.
Don't see my wolf dick. I know it looks weird.
I kind of dig dressing up like a wolf and, fucking ladies. Other than you.
I know you might not be into furries. But
that's what we call it. That's what we call our group, furries. That's our secret password.
He's already.
If you say furries, I know you're a furry.
I know you're into the wolf dick. So he's already influenced her, like that. Like, oh, don't see me like this. I want you to see me in the right way. And then that way, the first time she recalls seeing him is on the street in the city. And he almost feeds on her at the what do you call it? The little movie house. I forget what the Victorian name for it is, but they're at the little movie house and he almost feeds on her then, but then he resists. He's like, no, he wants to woo her is what he believes he's doing. Right. But in the book, so we're going to get a little deep into vampire lore, right? Which is, I think, what everybody kind of expects from
strap in, folks.
Like
hold on a second. Let me
Here comes the lore drop.
Pack this shit. Yeah. Go for it.
So, Dracula.
Yep.
Dracula's a vampire, but is Dracula do the powers that Dracula has?
Oh, okay.
Are those true for all vampires?
Are you saying
all vampires have the?
Are you saying like that? Is that part of the lore, or across like entertainment, across like all the movies and all the TV shows and stuff?
I'm talking about strictly lore right now. Do all vampires in the classic vampire lore have the same powers that Dracula has?
I don't believe so.
No. So Dracula we learn in the book, in Bram Stoker's book, is actually what?
So he's part of a society of like, what would, I don't know how you would characterize it.
They're like sorcerers.
Like,
They're like they do.
I was gonna say
They do
witches.
magic and shit.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, he's like
or
witch.
warlocks or whatever.
He's like, yeah. It's like a this like he's part of this like dark arts group, right? That's like this traditional and it's like supposed to be like the nobles. Like he's in the order of the Dracula, as they talk about in the movie, but he's also part of this other group and they practice the dark arts. They practice black magic and sorcery and all this stuff. So the idea being that when he becomes a vampire, however he becomes a vampire, because I don't think they really spell it out in the book like Francis Ford Coppola shows us in the movie. In the movie, it's this like grand denial of God. He literally declares himself to be the enemy of God and stabs the cross and all that stuff because he's given all this stuff to defend the church, to defend God's church, and yet his wife, his beloved still dies.
Yeah.
Elizabeth still dies, right? She still dies. So he like then renounces, like, this is what my faith got me, so I renounce it. And he becomes the enemy of God, and that's eventually what turns him into a vampire.
Right.
But we don't really get like a backstory of that in the book. He's a vampire, but it does explain that when he was alive, when he was a human, he was a member of this magical order. And so that's why, as a vampire, he's actually able to
like Voldemort.
Command the storms. Yeah. He's he who shall not be named, except he's Dracula. Right. And but he can command the storms and command the animals of the night.
Like, who would win, Dracula versus Voldemort?
Dracula, straight up.
That quick? You're just like, you didn't even think about it.
Get out of here. Magic.
Voldemort got beat by a 17-year-old kid. So I guess
yeah.
Dracula's like, come on.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
That kid literally, the kid literally died, woke right back up and killed him.
He was having a very bad day, and then he even came back and killed you after that.
Yeah. But so that's supposed to be why Dracula can do so much, like change into the pile of rats and change forms and all this kind of stuff. That's all supposed to be his black magic power. Whereas just a vampire has some limited magic power, but not to this extent.
So what are the typical abilities of a vampire? Across entertainment.
So the typical abilities of a vampire across entertainment, I think you would say, like, because a lot of it's based on, even just the original Todd Browning Dracula, changing into a bat, changing into a wolf. And if you know
all vampires across entertainment,
if you're talking about Hollywood, yeah, almost all vampires can change into wolves. Now,
I thought that was exclusively a Dracula thing. Like, what other? About, I'm trying to think of the vampires you'd be talking about.
Well, like, I mean, even up to
like, what other vampire? Yeah, okay, but he was like a Dracula and stuff. Dracula, like, I mean, like other like vampire depictions.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you talk about like the Buffy stuff, like
you got Buffy, you got Blade, you got all sorts of different kinds of vampires.
Yeah, the more modern stuff, it would be like really
true. You got
like
True Blood,
super speed, super flight.
Super speed. Yep, they can jump a great distance.
Yeah, like more modern vampires are more like superheroes that drink blood.
Like you can't kill them by shooting them, right?
Right. Yeah, it has to be a stake through the heart.
Has to split that. Does it have to split the heart? It has to split the heart, right?
It has to pierce the heart.
Does it pierce the heart? It just pierces the heart. Doesn't have to split the heart.
Except in what was the one? Was it True Blood or was it a different one where you just had to puncture them? They just had to be punctured with the stake.
I'm rewatching True Blood right now, so I'll let you know next episode.
Yeah, it might have been, but the one of them they just had to be punctured. It didn't matter where it was; they just had to be punctured with the stake, and it was like you were popping a balloon.
But in True Blood, silver is like it's an anti-vampire thing. Like
Yeah,
it holds them down. It like burns them.
Yeah, and that was kind of one of those weird. I'm trying to remember who first did that, but that was a weird.
But I think it was them because they said
they mixed. Yeah, they mixed werewolves and vampires.
Well, the dialogue at the time was, Anna Paquin's character discovers the silver laying over Bill, and Bill can't get up off the ground because the silver is preventing him from getting up. So she takes the silver off of him, and she's like, "Silver? I thought that was for werewolves." So.
Yeah. Of course, garlic, but Dracula sets up the garlic.
Garlic. Right. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, so it's like there's like different versions of the depictions, but like the whole idea being that the stuff that's like in Dracula was never supposed to be necessarily straight up like apply to all vampires, because vampires, like in the very traditional, the classic sense, vampires were almost more like ghouls or the Walking Dead. It's just their shtick was we drink blood.
Right.
Like they would come out of the graves, they would like wander the countryside, find like, random traveler or, find an unlocked door. They'd creep into your house, drink your blood, kill you, and then leave. There's even like the Strigoi, which is like the classic, like it's a relative. A dead relative becomes a vampire and comes back and like literally just feeds on the family until they're all dead, and then they go back and crawl back in their grave.
Yeah.
Like weird stuff, traditions and legends and stuff like that. And it's sort of like the powers that Bram Stoker attributed to Dracula being that he comes from this like black magical background, this occult background. Those eventually become the powers and abilities that writers begin to decide to give all vampires. That all vampires can turn into bats and flutter away. And, and all this kind of stuff.
Yep.
But that starts with Bram Stoker. Bram Stoker basically creates that. But it's supposed to be just for this character. So one of the things, in the big roundabout conversation, one of the things that I kind of wonder is like, Dracula's going to like this great extent of trying to, woo Mina in the right way. But do we think she's actually going for it? Or does it look more like he can't help himself and he's like mentally, like telepathically making her fall in love with him?
No, I think she senses something, but she can't explain it. She's loyal to Jonathan, but she's drawn to him, and she doesn't understand why, and then it grows over the course of the movie.
See, I think the absinthe scene for me, I feel a little different than you do, because the absinthe scene, he like does this thing where he passes his hand like in front of his face, and all of a sudden she gets like all like kind of like eye fluttery and stuff. I think it's like one of these things where he can't help himself. He's so like, that's one of his things, is this like mental influence, and he can't help himself. He even without maybe intending to, he's like mentally influencing her to like go in for all this with him. Because then she breaks away from it. She gets the note that Jonathan is alive.
Yeah.
And it causes like a mental break, and she jumps on the ship. I'm going to get him. Sends Dracula the breakup letter, the dear Vlad letter. Dear Vlad.
But all the way to where it gets, where she's like completely in love with him.
See, I think that's like the mental.
You think that's all Dracula?
I think that's vampiric influence. Yeah.
But isn't it implying that she senses something because she's like some kind of there's a connection between her and Elizabeth?
Yes, I think that's there, but I think that like the Mina Murray that we
know and love,
that we're seeing here,
mm-hmm.
She loves Jonathan. She wants to be with, like, she has her own life and everything.
Because it's simple. It's what she's supposed to do, and she's got a plan, but she's in love. She's in love with another man.
Met him at the Hot Topic. But I think she's trying to.
Yeah. He was talking to a 14-year-old.
I think he's like drawing it out of her. He's he's causing her to get like almost like a dream. Like it's like she's getting wrapped up in that. Like, yes, she feels this strange connection, but it's obviously in and of itself not enough to make her not go back to Jonathan. She wants to go back to her life and the person that she loves. But it's like when in proximity to him, he's like teasing it out of her, like, yeah, you know, this is I'm your destiny, baby.
He's got big dick energy, yo.
I'm your destiny, baby. Come on.
I'm your density.
And we get
Crispin Glover would have been awesome. You wanted someone from 1992 to play Jonathan Harker? I give you Crispin Glover.
But we got to talk about
Tis the damn man himself.
I don't know. Apparently Mina thinks I'm a dead fuck.
A dead fuck. Oh my god.
And then Jonathan does a dance, like a weird dance.
Yeah.
We got to talk about the Lucy death scene. So, you know, Van Helsing has gotten like the three dudes, the three suitors to like, we're gonna Lucy's come back as a vampire and we're gonna end it.
Yep.
And they've got the great scene where like Cary Elwes lets out the scream of all screams as he drives the spike into Lucy. But we have to talk about it in the context of it's a great scene, it's an iconic scene. But what version of that scene is even better? From what movie?
Dracula Dead and Loving It. And he hides behind the wall and
yeah, Mel Brooks and Steven Weber in Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Yeah.
That scene cracks me up every single time.
It was pretty good because we talked about it. I think we talked about it on a previous episode. We probably talked about it on the Nosferatu episode, maybe?
Probably, yeah.
But anyway, so I went back and watched Dracula Dead and Loving It. And
because it's a direct rip on this movie.
Yeah,
like it has the Bela Lugosi stuff, but it's also a direct rip. I mean, he made it in 1995. Like this is out in 1992. Dracula Dead and Loving It comes out in 1995. Yeah. So they are swiping so much stuff from this film.
Yep.
And making fun of it, and that the scene in the mausoleum where he has to drive the stake into his girl.
Yep.
Is fucking hilarious.
Yep. No, it is.
The amount of blood that sprays out of that coffin until the only clean thing in the room is Mel Brooks as Van Helsing.
Right. Oh, yeah. I'm going to miss having writers like him around. He's like 90. God, he's like 98 or something like that. 98.
Spaceballs 2.
I know he's doing Spaceballs 2. And I hope he makes it all the way through. You know, writers like him and like Carl Reiner and stuff like that, they just, you know, knowing you'll never get anything else or new from them is just, it's sometimes you think about it and it's sad.
Yeah. So we have that scene where they end Lucy's suffering. They drive the stake through her. So freaking iconic with her with the white white dress, and she's completely pale white. I mean, it looks like an art piece sometimes when certain shots in it. And she's carrying a kid. She comes in, she's like literally abducted a baby, like a toddler that she's going to feed on. And that kid, the screams from that kid are real, because that kid was terrified of Sadie Frost in her full makeup.
Makes sense.
That kid believed they were being held by a vampire.
Well, yeah. Yep.
So then they have a scene that coincides with that, where Van Helsing gets, now that Jonathan Harker is back,
Mm-hmm.
he and Mina have been married. She is now Mina Harker, which we know from the lore of the movie is a real wedding. That was presided over by an Eastern Orthodox priest. They went through the entire ceremony. They both said, "I do."
Who? Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder?
Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder were married in an Eastern Orthodox church by a real priest.
Oh, didn't she tell that? Did she tell that story or something like that? She said
she jokes
we're
around.
actually married. Yeah, because they joke around.
Yeah, she jokes around. Like every time she writes to him, she calls him husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have like a marriage license or anything, but it was a real wedding performed in a real church.
Yeah.
By a real priest. And so now they're married. So now Van Helsing is sitting down with Jonathan. She and Jonathan wants to hear about his story, about his time with Dracula. And what do we notice about Keanu in that scene? Do you remember? Is there something slightly different about Keanu?
That his hair's gray?
His hair's gone gray, and it's implied that his hair goes gray because of the horrible things that he's been through.
Yeah.
But then does it stay that same gray?
Oh, no. No. No, it's a good one. Yeah, no, it doesn't.
It goes through multiple versions of between just salt and pepper to almost full white.
Yeah.
And it keeps going back and forth through the rest of the movie. And supposedly it's because Francis Ford Coppola couldn't decide how gray he wanted Jonathan's hair to be. Like, how scared was he?
Yeah.
And so they kept changing it. And so the one version is the scene we have coming up. Dracula's come. It's Mina's conversion scene, which then, after destroying his coffins, his boxes of earth, they come back to discover them, in the vampire version of copulation. And in the scene coming up where that happens, Keanu Reeves' hair is almost completely white.
Right.
And Francis Ford Coppola couldn't decide which he liked better. And so he just, instead of reshooting it or changing it, he just left it that way. And basically then when asked, like, why does his hair constantly change then through the second half of the movie, he basically said, like, I don't care. He's like, I don't care about continuity like that.
Mm-mm.
He's like, it is what it is. His hair is a little different.
Whatever. Get over it.
Yeah. He just didn't give a shit.
I couldn't decide, so get over it.
But it's funny because for people like me, and I don't know about you, it pulls me out of the scene. Like when he comes running in, his hair's like fucking white.
And no, that doesn't pull me out of the scene. That's not what pulls me out of the scene.
No. What pulls you out of the scene?
The performance pulls me out of the scene, Kyle. It's so bad.
It pulls me out of it, and all I can do is stare at his hair. And then it changes again. The next scene you see him, now all of a sudden it's only very little gray.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to a slightly darker, slightly lighter gray.
Yeah.
And then back again.
Yep.
And it's just one of those things where, like, you just kind of, I get it. You got to get the movie done. You're trying to, but it's like, come on, dude. Like, Like what? And there's actually fans who have had to like retrofit, like they've had to like basically create fan theories as to why his hair color keeps changing, and they've like related to like his proximity to Dracula. That it's because
When his hair is white, Dracula is near.
it's like Keanu Reeves's head in Bram Stoker's Dracula is like the swords in Lord of the Rings, where they glow blue when goblins are nearby and shit.
You're barking up the wrong tree there, bud.
Yeah, his hair gets whiter the closer he gets to the vampire.
I'm not I could never get into Lord of the Rings. My God, I don't know how people can sit for 3 hours and watch that. And then on top of it, there's people, I remember walking in on a like Lord of the Ring-a-thon or whatever, where they were just watching them back to back, and they were watching it for like 9 hours straight. Like, Jesus, get a life. Anyway, go ahead.
So now during the
It's my rant against Lord of the Rings.
During the vampire sex scene, bro,
Yes, the vampire sex scene.
We get the big line. What's the line?
Oh, I have traveled oceans of time to find you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The line that literally, like, you know.
Oh, I used to say it to my ex-wife all the time. In fact, because our daughter is named after Mina in this movie, but specifically from the book. But it's a really beautiful, it's a beautiful movie. It's a beautiful love story. And that is the line that, yep, that gets him. That gets him.
Yeah. Like there was a whole generation of people that saw this as teenagers, and that was the gush line.
Oh yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh
yeah. I have traveled oceans of time to find you. A gush.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, and then it's followed by, I think, actually like a line that I think is great, just as dramatic, and got overshadowed by that line, which is where he then has like this moment of like, oh no, I can't do this. I can't do this to you. You know,
Yeah.
I cannot let this be.
Elizabeth.
And she has this great line where she says, take me away from all this death.
Yeah. Yep.
That she now wants the everlasting life that he offers.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is actually kind of given obviously it's written for the movie this way, but I think it raises an interesting thing about the Dracula story itself, is that there's some odd competing theories about, like, was Bram Stoker writing Dracula as an antichrist figure, you know, with all the blood is the life and all that kind of stuff? Or there's some evidence that Bram Stoker was into like occult societies at the time. And was he writing Dracula possibly as a commentary on Christianity itself? There's debate there. But yeah, that line is, you know, take me away from all this death. The idea that, you know, that he's offering her everlasting life and she wants to take it.
But that's the big question, right, Kyle? Would you do it if a vampire was able to say, hey, I bite you, I change you, you're dead, right? You got to die. Now, in some vampire stories, the death is excruciating.
Yeah, you like
you actually have to die, and then you come back, and then you come back from it.
Yeah,
So
you shit yourself, all that great stuff.
So like in this kind of, because you see the progression of Lucy, right, in the movie. So they touch on that part of it where like you're dying. But
Yeah.
then you're promised this I guess life. But if you go by a lot of vampire stories too, it's kind of like some in True Blood, the vampires have sex. So they're able to have sex. But like in some stories, like sex isn't do anything for a vampire. It's all
Right.
about, satisfaction of drinking the blood or whatever. Or there's some kind of creature or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, if like teenage me, would have been like, because it's like vampires really appealed to teenagers who don't foresee anything else to life than like that day. And so teenage me might have been like, cool with it. But like, adult me with like a wife and kids and like things to actually like, live for and enjoy, like, no. You don't, that's not a good trade-off. Especially if like there's any possibility that like, you get turned into a
But you
vampire
can.
and then you come back and kill your whole family, just because you're so hungry for blood.
Yeah, no, that would be bad. That would be bad. I guess it depends on which story you follow. So, like, if you follow the True Blood story, it seems like being a vampire is not. It's like a lot of fun. Like a lot of fun.
It seems like it's actually kind of the best.
It's the best thing ever. But in other stories, it's more tragic. So I don't know. I don't think that. But vampires die. It's not like You always say they're immortal, but that's if they never get into a situation where they die. But
Right.
they can still be killed. It's not like they can't be killed.
Yeah. I think that the
It's
the
just
thing
hard
of
to
it
kill.
is, I think there's a few things that people like. I've never seen a vampire story that deals with daylight savings time really well. Because if you think about it, like summers suck for vampires.
Yeah,
You have like
long
a short
days,
night.
really long
Yeah, long
days.
days, short
Yeah.
nights.
Yeah.
Like you only
And
get like a couple.
but where did that come from though? That didn't come from Bram Stoker, or did
Right,
it?
because
But they're
Dracula.
racing against. But they're racing against the sun.
They're racing against the sun at the end because the idea is they want to get to him while he's weakened by the daylight. Because during the day, he's not as powerful, and they feel like they're going to have an easier time killing him during the day. It's when once the sun goes down, all his power returns, and he'll be able to kill all of them, with like almost the speed of thought.
Right, but it's not necessarily the daylight kills him because he walks
Yeah, if you
around in
go,
the daylight. He walks around in
if
the
you
daylight in this movie.
right, if you become a daylight Dracula,
Yeah.
or a as we get in Blade lore, a Daywalker or a Dumpure, you know, all that kind of stuff. That's
But
maybe
the daylight thing came from Nosferatu, right? In writing
right.
Nosferatu, because they had
Yeah, the
they had to
daylight.
write the ending.
Yeah,
So he was like, "Ah, just stand in front of the window," and you're like, "Ah."
yeah. The pure light of the sun destroys the evil vampire. But I mean that also came from a lot of like old Germanic lore and stuff, where like on like Walpurgisnacht, once the cock crowed, all the evil spirits had to return to the graveyards and the nether realms
Isn't that
and all
from
that kind of stuff.
Nosferatu?
No, no, no. The story of like I mean, if you think about it, Walpurgisnacht, like that's old German stuff. That's I mean, the heck, they use that in the night on uh, Bald Mountain in Fantasia. That comes from that idea of like the classic stories of German legends and lore about, the nights when the spirits walk. And so the cock crows, and that's when you're supposed to scurry back to the cemetery and go back in your grave and all that. So yeah, I mean, there's kind of a long line of legends about the evil spirits being like foiled by the rising of the sun, or even the tolling of the bell in a churchyard. If the church bell tolls, it's supposed to like have like some effect on evil spirits. But yeah, if you go by, this by Bram Stoker's version of it, yeah, he can walk during the day. It's just he doesn't have access to all his powers.
Right.
All his powers and abilities come with the night.
Right.
The one thing that I think is really odd, though, is he's been feeding on people, so he's grown youthful, but then when he returns to the castle at the end, he's back to old man Dracula again.
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit of like Beast Dracula too. He's got some of the Beast thing going on, but like he's back to like old man Dracula, and I just kind of wonder about like what that choice was. But we get
I don't know.
I'll tell you if it's between though. Like if you wanted to ask me like if like a Gary Oldman or even a scary Monica Bellucci or somebody came along and tried to seduce me into becoming a vampire, I probably would say no. I mean, that's I'm pretty sure about that. If Winona Ryder in this movie tried to seduce me like she does Van Helsing to turn me into a vampire, I might have trouble. That's a different story. I might be wooed by a Winona Ryder vampire.
Winona forever.
Yeah. Because this is
Yeah.
I mean, she's absolutely beautiful. She's absolutely gorgeous in this movie.
She's a beautiful woman. She always was. Yeah.
One thing they never quite explain: why does Van Helsing have like the scar? They give him a scar, and then they like there's no background on that at all. That's like one of those weird Marlon Brando type. Like they gave him a scar, and we find out nothing about it.
He slipped in the shower. Blood was everywhere.
And fun fact: one of the brides was actually Romanian.
Oh,
by birth, she was actually.
That is a fun fact.
She became the dialect coach of the film for all the Romanian stuff.
Awesome.
I actually love the part where Van Helsing.
So was she the dialect coach for Gary Oldman?
Yes, but he also then, to get his voice to go down that octave, because he actually changed his voice for the movie, he went to a singing coach for that, and they helped him get down an octave so he could do the Elizabeth. Because he has like a fairly high kind of London Cockney voice.
Hey, they talk like this.
Yeah, he has a pretty high voice, but he actually has said in interviews he can't even do this voice anymore. It would take him months of training to get back to that.
Wow,
that voice. And there's only one part in the movie where it's not his voice at all, and that's where he screams in the very beginning when he has denied God,
mm-hmm.
and he lets out that roar. That roar is actually being done by a singer. I think I have that note here. That roar is being performed by... I was sure I had a note. I'll find it. But yeah, that was the only time, because he unfortunately, with the training, he could not get his voice to go deep enough to sustain that roar. Yeah, I thought I had it written down, but it was the lead singer of like kind of a punk rock band. But yeah, I love the scene where Van Helsing kills the brides. This whole ending sequence is really very stylized and very cool.
It's beautifully shot because the sun's going down and it's all, the sunset's in the background and everything's, lit up like orange, like that has that glow. So yeah it's It's a great ending to a really good movie.
Although probably my only, if I in my humble, layman's movie watcher's opinion, if I could give Francis Ford Coppola one note
Yeah.
for this ending sequence, it would be, could we have Billy Campbell yell Harker just one more time?
Yeah. All right.
Could we just have him yell Harker just one more time?
Yeah.
Because it seems like every other moment in this sequence, Quincy Morris is going, Harker!
Yeah. Yep. But
although they do have a great thing here where basically they play up that, like, Quincy Morris as the only guy who, like, literally has grown up riding horses and shooting from horseback. Quincy Morris is the badass of this scene.
yeah.
Quincy Morris is blasting minions left and right. He's got his big ass Bowie knife that and he gets stabbed in the back and yet keeps fucking fighting. And then it's his big ass Bowie knife that he gives to Harker to put into Dracula's chest. But yeah, Quincy Morris is the
unsung hero of the film.
Yeah, he is the big dick king shit of this scene.
Yep. Well, it is. Is it the best vampire movie? Did we already cover that?
Well, I mean, I don't know about, like, so
It's the best version of. It's the best version of Dracula. Is it the best vampire movie though?
Best vampire movie.
Like you asked like, me on a previous episode what my top 5 vampire movies were, and this was in there. Obviously,
Yeah.
So was the 31 version, and then Lost Boys, but you have like Interview with the Vampire. You have 30 Days of Night, which is love that movie. That's probably my favorite vampire movie is 30 Days of Night. Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
This is probably the second though. Like, what are your top 5?
So, like, I mean, this just, I'm spitballing now, but this is definitely in there. So I'm gonna, like, keep that in my mind. 30 Days of Night is a really good one. Innocent Blood.
Yep.
Innocent Blood is a really good one. And actually, it would rise to this, but I saw the one
Sinners.
Fuck. Now, to be honest, like, I liked Sinners. I like Sinners. That one's kind of tough for me because I like Sinners. Yeah, you know what? I really like I'm in that group that really likes the vampire in that movie. The Irish vampire.
Yeah.
What is the one that I just saw recently? I gotta Google it because it's a vampire on a plane.
What about One Spittin'?
One Spittin', I kind of don't, that's such a
What?
geeky movie. I don't quite lump that into like vampire
how dare you?
Films.
What about My Boyfriend's a Vampire?
No.
Blood Red. Come on.
Blood Red Sky. Blood Red Sky. It's a British-German vampire flick that came out in 2021.
Okay.
No, so it's a woman.
Yeah.
And she gets on a plane with her daughter. And you find out through the course of the movie that she has been infected with, vampirism, but she's been in communication with a doctor, and I forget the country they're going to. They're traveling from, I think, France or Germany, and maybe going to England or something. And there's been a doctor she's been communicating with that has supplied her with some medicine to, like, stave off the vampirism until he can find a cure. And supposedly he's found the cure, but she ends up on this plane that gets hijacked by terrorists. And so in order to save her daughter's life, she has to not take the meds and allow herself to go full vampire.
Right.
And so she like locks her daughter, away, like kind of, it's like no matter what you hear, like don't come out. And then she proceeds to like fuck up these dudes. It's vampire on a plane. The only thing missing is
Motherfucking vampires on this motherfucking plane.
But that was a good one. I would have to say that this probably is my favorite one. This is probably the one that I come back to the most of all vampire movies.
Okay. Yep.
I would say, even though I don't watch it as much because, and to be honest, it's not on very much. And also I have I have issues with John Landis, but Innocent Blood is like one of my absolute favorites.
Jeez, what could those issues be, Kyle? What could have happened? What could have happened in John Landis's career?
There's three
that would have put you off of him.
There's 3 specific issues that I have with John Landis.
Be curious to hear what they are.
Maybe we'll talk about them one day when we cover Innocent Blood.
Sounds good. Yep. Episode's coming up.
But of course, so much of Innocent Blood is like, Robert Loggia.
Oh, yeah.
That's the big
Robert Loggia.
I love Innocent. Robert Loggia. For Robert Loggia.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Is that Robert Loggia?
Family Guy.
Yep.
Yep.
So the movie ends, Brad, with so first for anybody in the audience that hasn't seen it, describe what happens at the end.
Oh, well, they stab him and he collapses in the church or in the castle, and then
and it is in the chapel where the whole thing began.
In the chapel, and so in front of the cross, and he's dying, and she comes over and she kisses him, and she has to run him through, so she has to kill him because he's still alive. So she ends it.
She pushes the Bowie knife all the way through.
Yep.
Till it hits stone, and then
he changes, back into the beautiful prince lad.
Yeah, and his original look, right, from back in the day. And then she proceeds to then whips it out, and I gotta say, it is kind of cool. She pulls it out, and in one big motion, just lops his head clean off.
Yeah, she did whip it out. Yep. Well, you were just kind of she whipped it out, and you were like, what is he talking about? Oh, the sword?
Winona got a dick.
Surprise! It's a surprise ending.
What a twist.
Francis Ford Coppola standing there with the executives at the screening. I know what you're thinking. Let me explain. You guys are gonna love this.
And then of course it pans up, and it's interesting, but it's also kind of a weird choice. I think that the ceiling of the chapel is this kind of strange, almost homage, right, to the Sistine Chapel with, God, giving life to Adam, and it's Dracula, in this, falling embrace with, his wife,
his beloved. Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, that's kind of how it ends. That that in the end they're together as they were back then, but then also with his death, that's when we see the burn mark from the host that Van Helsing, burned Mina's forehead when he was trying to stave off her advances. That literally just burns off and fades away.
Yep.
So it's now his hold over her is
the curse
gone.
has been lifted.
So what do we think of that end, the way they depict that ending?
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Yep.
If there was one thing about the movie that if you could change it, what would it be?
Come on, don't make me say it. You can't keep doing this. You know what my answer is.
Yeah.
What's my answer?
What is it? What is it, Brad?
I would, again, I know that like he puts out fires with like his own spit, and like I know that he like, stops terrorists, and he's I get it. Like I love him too. But yeah, I would probably recast Keanu Reeves
Okay.
as Jonathan Harker. That would be my
Yeah.
and I would probably recast him with Johnny Depp.
Yeah, it is so unfortunate that it's so unfortunate. Actually, I did find in my notes as we were going, and I didn't mention it didn't want to mention it till now after I found it. They did consider Johnny Depp at one point.
Okay, it makes sense.
Unfortunately, apparently the studio didn't feel he was mainstream enough at the time.
So I guess all of America wasn't watching 21 Jump Street.
Yeah, I think because of things like Edward Scissorhands and stuff like that, they didn't feel like he was mainstream enough to carry the movie.
Crybaby.
Yeah, Yeah, he was making good artistic choices at the time, good choices as an actor.
Yeah, he was building quite the resume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it didn't quite. It didn't make.
It didn't turn people on.
They must not have felt like he was going to grab the mall crowd, which seems to be like what they were going for.
Yeah.
So, Brad, we've had discussions in the past about Dracula and like depictions in other movies. Because we've talked about Nosferatu, the 1922 Nosferatu. Obviously, we still have to do eventually some kind of episode about Todd Browning's Dracula. And then you've got the Hammer films, beginning with like House of Dracula, Dan Curtis Dracula we mentioned, and then the ones that came after it. There's like Dracula 2000 with Gerard Butler, Dracula Untold, which was
I did not watch that. Yeah,
supposed to be part of the Dark Universe.
Yeah. Yep.
Last Voyage of the Demeter, which we did both see. And then the same year, 2023, when Demeter came out, Renfield, the horror comedy Renfield with Nicolas Cage.
Oh, so good. Nick Cage was so good. Oh. Did you see that? Did you see it?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was very funny. I liked the fact that they straight up showed his past history with Dracula as the Todd Browning Dracula.
Right. I thought it was funny that they made like Renfield, martial arts expert.
Yeah, that's his like, ghoul power.
Yeah.
his kicking ass.
Yeah.
But so we've talked about it, like when we saw Last Voyage of the Demeter, and then there's many scenes in this. Like, I know you're kind of the mind that Dracula's true nature is like no longer human anymore. So like, because my thing is like I think that I have a tendency to think that like the true form would be closer to human. But you kind of seem to side on that his true form is actually closer to the animal, right?
Closer to the creature, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
so like
that part, like that's the part that lives on. He died as a human 400 years prior to the movie. So that part of him, he's been dead, so he's the creature. That's what gives him life, and he's only portraying his former self to mask himself when he's around like Mina and Jonathan and stuff like that.
So in the movie then, like, what do you think is like which form do you think is like the closest to like
it's
his real form?
It's closer to that form when he's like when he stands up and he's in the room with Van Helsing and the posse, and he gets up and he's like this kind of big creature, which is a great effect, by the way.
He's like the Bat thing.
Yeah, that I feel like he's kind of somewhere in that realm. He's just this kind of like evil creature.
Yeah,
and he's only like human around other people, because he can transform back into that. Because you have to live for 500 years. That's not human. You're not human anymore. So like when you that part of you died when you were bitten by the vampire that killed you, or when he struck the cross, and and all the blood came out and everything, and that part of him, that human part of him, was gone.
Yeah, I have a tendency to think a little different than you, because I think that that's like him, like halfway between like Bat, or like when he's the Wolf Man banging Sadie Frost on the big granite table. I think that that's like him halfway between him, man and wolf. I think that like, I don't think his true form is man in this, but I think it's like,
I don't think he's Gary. I don't think he's young Gary Oldman.
There's 2 times when he has like a weird like creature face, but he's still more humanoid. And that's like at the end when he pops out of the coffin, he's still like humanoid, but he's got the weird creature face.
Yeah.
And then
he's got that same face that he had when he was like the big creature. Yeah.
And then
that's what he is.
When Mina writes him the breakup letter, and he like cries blood.
When he cries blood.
And then it shows him in the room with all the weird room with all the candles, where we don't know where that is. And he's got that same like creature face, like he's humanoid, but with the creature face.
Yep.
And I think that's probably,
you're just proving my point.
Real face.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying to you.
But you're saying like the full like.
Well,
Batman,
no, I'm just saying he's not human.
Or Bat.
God damn it. No, I'm just saying that he's not Gary Oldman. He's not the human form. He's some kind of creature. So whatever form that actually is.
So Brad, overall, what do you think?
I said it in the beginning. This was a movie that, was really hyped up when it came out. And I thought that it lived up to it. It's one of my favorite books ever. That's why, I named my daughter after one of the main characters. So it's one of my favorite stories. And I think that Francis Ford Coppola did a great job of really sticking close to the novel. I think you had great performances by Gary Oldman and Anthony Hopkins. I think that Winona Ryder kind of held her own. Carrie Elways was really good.
So, I forgot to ask you, what is your favorite effects shot in the movie? Like, I know what like mine is.
There's a bunch of them that I like. I like the all the powers that Dracula has. So like the eyes in the sky, like, that was really cool. Just some of the mist, he was like the green mist.
The green mist.
I thought the creature effects were really good. I thought the production, like the cinematography, was really good. I loved the backgrounds, and I thought the sunset and everything being orange and glowy, and like it was just so well done, and all of those effects were really, really good. They were top notch.
Yeah, my favorite was the all the stuff with the shadow.
Oh yeah, the shadow
effect. Shadow.
Yep.
Because that's literally like they basically just put like a scheme, they paint sort of like a somewhat translucent screen with like what they want on the wall, and then they backlight it so that you see the artwork, but then the shadow is a mime that's like in between the light and the screen, and he's having to act out many of the same movements that Gary Oldman is doing at the same time in real time on set
Yeah.
to make the shadow match. But then when they want to do like the scary effects, then he does his thing while Gary Oldman does like the opposite motion.
Right.
And that's how, so it was all produced right there on set in the moment. And I thought those were some of the best effects of the movie, is all the shadow stuff. So many movies since then have copied the shadow effects like they did in this movie, but now it's all, they do them digital.
Right.
But he was able to get all that real in camera with a mime doing the shadows on set.
Yep.
So I love that.
Yep.
Super cool.
Yeah, all the way around, all the way around. That's why it's one of my favorite movies. It's just, there's just some things.
Yeah, and I'm sure people would roast me on it, but I actually, I know Godfather is an American classic, but I as far as cinematography goes, like this, I think is like Francis Ford Coppola's best visual movie.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. That's not really. I think he was able to use the story to get really the idea of all these gifts that Dracula had, these powers that he had, and he was, because he had those powers, he was able to kind of create some of these really cool effects and visuals like in the movie that he didn't, like there was no place for that in The Godfather. I mean there is, like you're talking like Scorsese doing like Goodfellas or something like that, where it can be visual. Like I get it, but I think there is just more opportunity with the story for this movie than there was for The Godfather.
Yeah, and I mean even down to his transitions, going from things like when the peacock feather comes over the screen, and then it changes, it transitions into the train tunnel shot and stuff like that. Like I think this movie allowed him to do a lot of visual things that all his other more realistic films didn't really allow him to do.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Right.
He just kind of,
the story allowed, it gave him the opportunity to do a lot of cool things, visually with the movie.
yeah. And then this was also then the movie that did so well, it saved his production company. His production company was close to going under, American Zoetrope. And this was the movie that, like, he made so much money on this movie, and it allowed him to keep the doors open for much longer than he would have otherwise. So he really threw everything he could at it. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I think one of the best depictions of Dracula ever put on screen. There are other people who have tried to do it similar and haven't quite come up short. It's also unfortunate that Universal hasn't been able to like do a really good answer to Bram Stoker's Dracula. I mean, you're talking, we're in 2025. This is from 1992, and Universal has yet to come up with a Dracula property that can come even close to that, even with the issues with Keanu Reeves and his performance. Nobody's been able to match it yet.
Yeah.
Even Dracula 2000, which now when you watch Dracula 2000 is a joke, when that first came out in the year 2000 with Gerard Butler, people were thinking like, oh, this is like, I mean, it did well. That one did well enough to get a sequel, a really bad sequel, but still, nobody's been able to really top this since then.
In the year 2000. Sorry, I had to do it.
All right. Well, I think we can wrap it up there. I think we've talked about just about everything we can about the movie.
Yep, we did. But I know we didn't do a Nosferadudes, which I thought you were going to do, but you didn't. So,
Oh no, I didn't know you had anything.
well, no. So the only thing that I wanted to talk about real quick was,
well, wait. So this is Nosferadudes.
Wicked, evil, twisted.
I got news for you, pal.
all right, awesome. Very exciting. There is a new Halloween video game coming out.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Have you seen that?
Have you seen it? So, yeah, it looked really good. They released the trailer. They have Nick Castle, who played Michael Myers in the 1978 movie. They have him hooked up to all the sensors, so he's doing the movement. So he's doing all the Michael Myers, all the motion capture. So, so they got him so it looks like Michael Myers moving. It looks really good. And
this is also John Carpenter has been advising on this game, I believe. This was the one he was teasing this for a few months.
Yeah.
Leading up to now this announcement about Nick Castle being a part of it. This is the one he's been advising on, I believe.
So I'm so excited because one of our friends, Aaron, is a big video game player, right? I've never been into video games very much. I know you play them. Austin plays them. But almost everybody, I think all of our friends play them except me. I was never a big video game person. But the thing to bring me into video games is this, like make horror video games. And when Friday the 13th, the video game came out, I was very excited. I didn't get a chance to play it because there was all sorts of problems with it and all sorts of rights issues. And then it got shut down and it was just a mess. And so I never really got the chance to play it. So that has been fixed. But in conjunction with that, you have Halloween, the video game, which looks really fun. And I will buy a console just to play it. Like I'm in. If these are the games, if they're going to keep coming out with stuff like this, like if they're going to come out with a Nightmare on Elm Street video game or a Scream video game,
somebody's got to be thinking about it,
right? Or now like a Chucky video game or whatever. Like I'm in. Like I'll play all those games.
Yeah, a Megan video game.
I watched the first one. I did not watch the second one.
I haven't watched either one yet. I know that's going to be another great hit for all the people that think I don't watch any new horror. But no, but after seeing what they did with the second one, you know, like that's kind of where I'm at with a lot of new horror. I give it a little time. I don't go off of like what the initial reactions are because I wait because so much of like the initial stuff you see on social media and whatever can be a lot of like tailored public relations, advertising, marketing type, you know, like you can't trust necessarily everything you see on social media about new movies. And so I tend to wait on a lot of new movies to see like, okay, there's a lot of negative hype. Does that negative, after people have seen it, is that negative hype still around? So I should like just pass? Or is there good hype that then like overtakes the negative hype once people actually see a movie rather than just a bunch of idiots reacting to trailers,
right?
You know, and shit like that and trolls and whatnot. So I was kind of just giving Megan like I passed by it a few times. I was like, at some point I'm sure I'll watch it. And then now Megan 2 came out, which everybody fucking hated. And so now I'm like, you know, I might one day have.
I didn't really like the first one. I just I watched it because I felt like I had to.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like it was one of the big like horror releases of the year, so I have to at least give it a shot. and I gave it a shot, and just whatever.
And hey, speaking of like for people who do think I don't watch new horror, just this past weekend I watched a brand new Al Pacino horror movie.
Oh.
Called The Ritual.
Go ahead.
Where it's
this sounds like a setup. It sounds like a setup.
Hey, there's a demon in there.
There you go. Yep.
There's a demon in that girl, and she's got a great ass.
Yeah. So
hey, we got to go in there. We got to exorcise this demon. But no, it's Al Pacino, and it's Dan Stevens, the British actor Dan Stevens. He's been in a few like good like independent horror films, and many other things. He was in Downton Abbey, all that stuff. And it's one of these based on a true story. And it's Al Pacino literally is the old priest, and Stevens is the young priest. And it's supposed to take place in like 1925, and the girl's possessed, and Al Pacino goes in there, and it wasn't the greatest thing I've ever seen. And Stevens, he was doing a lot of heavy lifting, but Al Pacino was good. I think he was Al Pacino. If you gave him like a better, we've seen what he can do. Even with like a horror based film like Devil's Advocate, we've seen, which, as it happens,
we do not have time to. We're already way over. I think our time here. You want to go down that road, Devil's Advocate? Do you?
It did star another person.
Again,
that
you got Al Pacino and then
poor Keanu Reeves.
So.
But we'll talk about that movie another day.
Yeah,
we should definitely cover that movie another day.
We should. Yep.
Because we eventually have to get to talking about a movie at some point that we don't like, which is not Devil's Advocate. But
no, I love Devil's Advocate.
Yeah, we need to eventually talk about some movies that were like, not worth the ticket.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do see new horror. I tend to see things like that sometimes.
All right. Well, okay. Are you done now?
I'm done. All
right. The only other thing that I wanted to mention was I saw a clip from WFMZ, so Channel 69 down there in the Lehigh Valley, and they did a story about how the new Crystal Lake series, about the prequel series for Friday the 13th, is actually being shot in Blairstown.
Oh, okay.
So they're
Very
going
cool.
back to the original, filming sites.
Yeah, the Linda Cardellini, right?
Yep. So that's expected sometime next year. So it looks like it's happening. Everything's rolling. They're filming. So it's happening. So hopefully, this is, successful, and we get something with Nightmare on Elm Street and something new with Halloween.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So that would be great, Kyle.
That would be great.
It's like, that'd be swell.
So on that note,
yeah.
From me,
and me,
thanks for listening. And remember, the broadcast is coming from inside the house. And if you want t-shirts like that one that Brad's wearing, or you want trucker hats like the one I'm going to be wearing on the next episode, write to us at nosferadudes@gmail.com and let us know.
You're going to have to edit this way down.